Hello everyone, my name is AJ. This is one of those games broadcast on the internet that nobody watches, apart from you few loyal people that are actually watching it, so thank you. And we also appreciate your comments about what happens in the game as well. It's really encouraging. It doesn't in any way influence what any of us do, but that's okay. All right. So, we have left a scene of carnage where Yggdrasil was forced into action itself, and we've discovered that it has some sort of a fire control mechanism that will flood the area with water and expel any foreign bodies which are causing an infection of fire. So it has propelled a Ratatosk and an Ifrit to the surface, a Genasi, to the surface, and followed shortly after by a waterlogged but triumphant Warforged that was carrying the items that they actually went in there to retrieve in the first place. Basically, everybody else died. A large giant bounty hunter, a large giant, of course it's large, a giant bounty hunter named Thrug has returned to the surface as well and proceeded to polish off the last of the termite people that whose domain they invaded and set on fire. But essentially, overall they did a good thing because they stopped a drug manufacturing operation and also killed an evil dryad wizard and retrieved the prized possession of our Ratatosk, Igvor, in the form of a very powerful magical needle. Alaya seems completely oblivious to the fact that her actions of kind of throwing fireballs around inside a paper factory, inside a massive tree, would cause a raging inferno, with the quite understandable Genasi reaction of, what did you think was going to happen? But it has caused quite a lot of problems between the two. So they have set off across the plain of bark, across the chewed up sort of snowdrift of former insect hive, going back whence they came. Oh, they're going up bark, following a Barrior who says, why don't we go to Isgard, and go to my homeland and actually rest up and recuperate and get fully healed and go on some adventures and try and find a way back to Sigil, because we don't have one pre-prepared. So these guys have been, we pan in on the camera, your point of view, dizzying drop from a way, way high overhead cloud cover of huge wafting green leaves as we dizzyingly drop through mists and murk down to the moss-covered forests of Yggdrasil's bark, where these companions have been wandering along in kind of tense silence for some time, and they've come across something, a shining, gleaming metal object up ahead. And we cut to the metal object, which inside an old decayed sort of oak panel with some real retro-looking steampunky dials and widgets, a single valve goes boop, boop, boop. And then as we pan over to the back of Duncan Witherbark Rathstratham, Warforged researcher and scholar, a similar diode, long forgotten underneath a chest plate somewhere, starts going boop, 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 boop. And inside this metal object, two dusty metal containers start to whir up as an old gas pressure power system releases its contents, and a little generator kicks up some dust and starts to whir into power. And the chambers start to rotate slowly and warm up from some frozen state. And a little dial, a little like a old style temperature gauge loading screen starts to go. And we cut over to you guys as you continue on your conversation.
Has it been enough time for me to reattune to my needle?
Oh yeah, it's been hours and hours and hours. You guys have been basically traveling for a day and a bit.
So I've been doing the running through my fingers, but once I see this, I take it and I throw it up in the air, and it begins to hover around me.
Okay.
And so
from your perspective, it looks like a ship which has been crashed into the surface, like a sailing ship, which is kind of weird for a plane of bark. And there's some fragments or shrapnel or maybe old bodies on the plane just ahead of you before you get there.
We should be careful. I've never seen such a thing on.
Duncan, you're beeping. You this thing.
I would have tried to attune to that ion stone.
Yeah.
That pink one. What be its properties?
Did we establish what the Iron Stone did?
It was in like an amulet on the Dryad,
so.
And it wasn't released yet.
Oh. I think it's an Iron Stone of language translation. So an Iron Stone of tongues.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Sorry.
Just cover the mic, cover the mic!
Duncan is just a moth to a flame.
Yep.
Beeline towards the beacon.
Cool. So very soon you come across the first of the objects on the ground, and it appears to be parts of a warforged that have been here for quite some time. They're mostly corroded by what weather there is in Yggdrasil, which consists of misty rains and occasional long dry spells. And it's been picked over by those who have come by. And so basically what's left over is some old body plates and the remains of decayed wood fiber and some internal components which are completely useless, tubing and things like that. The all-important head panel, the plate which has got the sigil of the warforged in question, has been long since removed.
This is disgusting.
Mm.
It says the warforged who carries corpses and all kinds of nasty stuff.
Ali is going to look at some of these tubes and be like, "Oh, looks like someone's been doing some gardening around here."
Yeah, so these are the very organic-looking circulatory tubes of a warforged. Now that they're more visible, you see how complicated they really are. It's a marvelous type of engineering. Now that you've seen this one, you recognise that there's another two bodies and a case that was once carried between the two of them. They seem to have just dropped dead long ago. The case is all open, and there's actual organic bones scattered all around this case up ahead. And Duncan, a little ping, ping, ping goes off that warns you that a dangerous form of radiation is ahead.
Any biological life forms better step back a little bit. Just stares at the other two.
What is a biological?
I hop off of his shoulder. And I move over to where the what's his name?
Which one? The barrier? Turbon?
The barrier, Turbon, that's right.
Turbon accelerates, says, I recognize some of those bones. Those are elves. You can tell by the skull.
What would elves be doing here? There's no elves.
It also had this sense of superiority, even though it's dead.
There looks to be, going by the skulls, there's at least 6 elves there. Well, there was.
How common are Warforged in
As common as there are anywhere, which is not very.
So this is probably the first time that I've seen one other than Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Duncan, is this the first time you've ever seen another Warforged?
No. And I mean, that's not really a Warforged. It's more of a pile that used to be a Warforged.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this radiation that's so important about biological? What is this? Is something inside of here that's of interest to you?
The case up ahead has a distinctive sigil, which we're familiar with, which is a dot with 3 wedges around the outside of it.
That looks pretty. It looks like a little star. Little.
Have you ever been asked a question by a child and you're just like, I shouldn't even bother?
I laugh.
Going to approach this here Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh in Sylvan.
Not sure how that would be a thing. Okay. What is the Sylvan laugh? So you approach the case. It appears to be some old decayed fabric with 2 cylinders of metal, which are wedged in it in what used to be snug compartments, but it's now kind of decayed and soiled. Also covered in bones, bone dust. It seems to have snapped open a little bit and just sort of sprung open of its own accord accidentally, possibly caused by the Warforged who are carrying it tripping or stumbling or just falling from some other reason. And when you look at the Warforged on either side, you discover that the reason is they are peppered with arrows.
No salt?
No salt.
Can I secure the container back to its closed position?
Yes, you can.
I'll do so.
Little gauge goes boop. Quiet. It's a little bit of garlic on the Warforged, touch of rosemary. Peppered, salted. Squeeze a lemon. So it appears safe.
Okay, I will gather them up. I also want to pick up any tubing robotics that might not be rusted beyond useful.
The plating is quite useful. It seems quite advanced plating compared to your own even. This is like an original factory
Oh, goody. military
grade plating. Not only that, but one of them has a forearm with some sort of contraption embedded in it that appears to be some sort of flame projection crystal.
This pleases me beyond measure.
Okay. You're not that far from the ship, which now you look at it doesn't appear to be overly damaged. It's just buried halfway into the bark itself from landing with some impact. It seems to have skidded along quite a bit and left a rut in the bark.
I look up to where he is and I say, do you think it's safe for us now?
Relatively. It's a lot safer than, I don't know, a dragon.
That isn't helping. I'm going to stay down here.
Come explore with me.
Ellie will go up.
Okay, so you approach the ship. You've got the case with you. The case is actually really heavy. Duncan, I believe you're strong enough to carry it, but it's pushing it. So it's a lead case with some very heavy metals in it.
Duncan, what is this thing? Is this like a larger one of you? Looks a little bit like you.
No.
So you're looking.
Attempt to find the engine room.
Sure. So you go on board this this ship. It's a very unusual looking ship. It looks more like a flat sort of a flat schooner with a projection on the front of it, which looks like a hammerhead shark. And you guys can roll a Arcana check, if you like, to determine what it is you're looking at.
I am not in there, so I can't see.
You can see the entire vessel, so you should be able to get a roll as well.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 with a negative. We're sorry, 2 with a -1 modifier. So 1.
It's a sailing ship, obviously. Okay, can you give me a roll for Turbon, Jada?
Turbon got a 7.
Okay, your dice is officially poked.
That's a 7.
Wow.
I got a 10 total.
Oh god. None of you have any idea what this is. Okay. Well, that makes it interesting. So, you go on board. You see that this is clearly some sort of a technologically advanced device, an artifact of some kind, a wondrous item. You're thinking maybe an apparatus of Aquilish, some sort of thing like that.
Can I see any buttons or levers?
Oh, all over the place.
Just push one.
There's stations, like stations with lots of buttons and levers with comfortable plush chairs. Everything's like mahogany and oak and teak and some other more exotic woods, and brass and copper and gold burnishing and silver knobs and buttons and crystal glass.
I go
to
the most plushest, most important looking chair, and I just push a random button or pull a random lever.
The plushest and most important looking chair is right in the middle of the chamber that you're in, which is actually off to the side. It's kind of like a side compartment under the deck of the ship. And there's a really opulent looking chair. It doesn't have any dials and buttons and things there. It's just got a couple of spaces at the back with a open container that it looks like the cylinders that were inside that case go into.
Have I looked in the case that Duncan's been carrying around?
You probably saw him rearrange them somewhat before he snapped the case closed.
Okay. I'm gonna wander around the ship. Is there anything glowing or beeping or doing anything interesting at the moment?
No. The nature of this stuff is there's no beeps. There's no glows typically. There's occasional glows, but it's like an old light bulb ray, gleam from something heating up somewhere. Currently nothing that you can see in this room. But if you listen real carefully, you can hear a hissing of gas coming from a deck down below.
Duncan, where are you?
Yes. I've been following her because
this chair looks very good, very nice, very plush. I like it a lot. What is these holes here at the back of it?
I'm going to inspect the compartment on the ship Make
It is
sure it's
clearly
sealed, not damaged.
right. It looks perfectly fine. This is clearly custom designed to fit those rods that were inside the case that you're carrying. They also have that similar symbol. Well, the exact same symbol.
Excellent. I'm going to ask everybody else to leave the room for a wee.
Y'all have disappeared for me.
Leave the room where? Like, go back up or go outside or...
Outside.
Okay. Let me
And I'll just do a quick transfer.
Thum, thum. Nothing happens.
Excellent. I'd like to make my way below decks and investigate the hissing.
You come across two chambers which contain the dormant forms of two Warforged on very, 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 very low power mode. And it looks like they're reactivating. Again,
Oh,
military style technology.
That's a weird noise.
I'm just gonna hang out.
Cool. It looks like they've got about 15 minutes left to cook.
All right, I'll go above decks and notify the others.
Okay.
We're about to have company.
So you go back up on the deck, and you discover there's another body up there. It's an organic one as well. This one appears to have been a sphinx.
Like a sphinx corpse?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big, big, big sphinx?
Mm-hmm.
How did we not see that before?
Because you weren't really on deck. You sort of, yeah, it's a big ship. So this one had layered in the front sort of metal armored hammerhead compartment of the ship. There's a broken out window on the top because it's kind of canted at an angle. So one of the hammerhead eye stalk thingies is out the top, and there's a broken out window on that side, and it had been sort of living there, but it seems to have died also from being peppered with arrows. So it's kind of just like came crawling back out and gone "Wah!" and died with its wings splayed out on the deck. It's you didn't really see it because it was flattened from the skeleton to basically just becoming a flat pile of bones. But as soon as you're on the deck proper, you go, oh, big lion head. And an eagle? No, it's a sphinx.
I would like to climb up to the hammerhead where it had layered.
Okay, there is an assortment of golden jewels.
Nothing seems off, strange.
Something's definitely off.
So it's an assortment of golden jewels. Everything seems off.
Yeah, the DM's just leaving golden jewels out in the open for hundreds of years.
I checked for dragons under a stone.
There's no stones around.
Is there
There's no
any,
dragons there.
outside, is there anything that like shows me that people have been here before? Like, have people come through here and taken
The bodies?
stuff away?
There seems quite a lot of dead elves. And the bodies of the Warforged seem to have been picked over by something.
Do the elves have quivers with them?
Mm-hmm. They did.
I would like to roll investigation.
Okay.
19.
There is a sword which is buried in the pile of treasure, and it is looking at you.
What?
You get the impression that the sword just moved imperceptibly, and there's a gem on it which is got a beady quality.
I'm gonna crouch down onto its level and address it. Sword, hello.
Squeak. Tinkle. Slight shifting of coins.
Duncan! Duncan! Duncan!
Yeah, I'm gonna step back. Go back
You
down
step
to the
back.
deck.
You step back and notice that your foot is millimeters, portions of an inch away from a line of colourful chalk, which is surrounding the treasure pile and is bounded by the edges of this chamber.
I'll take note of that and abdicate this position.
Okay.
Duncan! Duncan, did you do the thing already? What's taking so long in there?
Push to talk, Bryce.
Yes, I did the thing.
Duncan, are you safe? Are you still alive? Hello?
I'm on the deck.
I can't see that. I'm fucking short.
Can we see the deck from outside, or is it?
Let me just hang on. I'm going to find a picture and post it in the chat for you guys, so you should be able to see what it looks like. Hopefully, maybe. Doodle-doo-doo. Okay, can you guys see that?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, so the hammerhead section that you can see in the front there. Imagine that that ship is tilted over at like a 30-degree angle, so you're sort of clomping around on the deck. It's kind of weird. Yeah, there you go. It's a hammerhead ship. Wow, that shows up really well on your camera.
I think it's back to front. So, but yeah.
Ah, that's fine. Well, no, it's right way around from our perspective. That's right. So yeah, and you can see a person for scale in the front of the bow of the ship there, and there's a catapult on the front of the ship, and there's like a baluster at the back. This ship that you're on doesn't have any weapon emplacements that you can see, or they may have been salvaged long ago or taken. But it seems relatively intact, even the fin sections and things like that. There's the fins on one side are probably broken and sheared off from its passage along the bark. But otherwise it seems quite intact. So E4, you're probably down on the main deck rather than we'll call the front half of it like the forecastle.
Yeah, if anyone's not on the ship at this point, I'll go to the ledge and wave them up.
Turbon says, I don't trust that thing.
I'd rather not get on it. It creaks and it's not natural.
Duncan hasn't replied to us, has he? When we've been calling out to him.
Yeah, he came out. He's waving at people.
But Duncan, what is this thing? Can you explain it to us? Is it important? Should we like leave it here or?
I'm not sure what it is, but there are more Warforged activating right now.
More like you. More of you.
Yes.
Are they hostile?
They're not conscious.
I'm gonna send the needle in there in my place.
So they're dead, but they're coming back to life? Like they're being resurrected or something?
Sure, yeah. Rolls his eyes.
Turbine whispers to Igor. How well do you know your friend's people?
I have no clue.
He looks built for destruction.
I'm sure he has an appetite for destruction as well, but I haven't seen it.
He's made. Was he originally made by someone or something?
That's a good question. We never really discussed that. I don't think he even knows.
He has no memories of his past?
Probably. I mean, he's a robot.
I don't want
Don't
that.
they usually?
I
Don't
know
they
what that
usually
means.
have like memory wipes and stuff?
I don't know.
Me either. I'm just going off of what I've heard from people in Sigil.
Right. Well, I'm not a person who's prone to fear, but I understand caution.
Really? Because I am. Let's go.
Calm yourself. I'm curious, for sure, but we need an escape plan.
All right. Escape plan. I start writing down like a plan, and plan 1 is break the cleric's legs.
I kept a secret from you after what happened in the hive. I think now that we're by ourselves, I can tell you. I have a means to get to Isgard immediately.
Immediately?
Immediately.
And what is it?
This acorn.
Well, shouldn't we bring Duncan? I mean, he was here with us, and we promised him
Shh.
we would...
I'm just saying he's got 2 of his people that we know nothing about, and a lady that burns everything that she touches.
Right, but Duncan's my friend, and, I mean... Yes, I'm mad at her, but... And she did almost burn down our home.
And me in the process.
And
Let's not forget. I was recently left for dead by this person you're calling a friend. I have no reason to call them friend. Quick, they're coming back.
Well, Duncan's not coming down apparently. He just wants to stay inside his big metal circle thing, whatever this is.
I've just been staring at everybody from the edge.
Lip reading.
Can't hear them, obviously. Well, I'm going to go down there because they're about to wake up, so...
You guys hear a little steam whistle, and then there's a clunk clunk as 2 cylinders lift up and then drop away, and then there's some footsteps. There's 2 warforged step out of their containers and look at each other and look around. We'll now cut to the perspective of Rort and M4RC.
You see Rort stand up and a variety of like pieces of metal, various tools, Allen keys, things like that, clatter off his body. Where is
Mark is in the process of standing back up, wearing this. Other than his cloak, he's not really wearing any clothes, but he wears this long, flowing blue cape that has his initials embroidered at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, this is... And he looks to the side at Rot, and he's just like, greetings. My name is M4-RC. And he holds out his hand, but my friends just call me Mark.
Rort puts a thumb on his chest plate, which says, made of Rort. And he's like, I am Rort. This is my name. Something about this ship is wrong. Is there like a tilt in the ship?
Yeah, there's a 30-degree tilt.
Yeah.
Looking around, Mark, you see that there is a little console right in front of you that's got very clearly, it's got some memory crystals and some sort of a note on a piece of paper left there.
I take the note.
The note crumples in your hand as it's long ago decayed.
Damn it. Oh well. Then I take the memory crystal and I take a look at it. Arcana check for figuring out like what.
So there's 2 memory crystal here, and you think that they would be backups of your memory, just in case something, whatever's just happened to you, has happened.
Okay. Do I remember how to use it?
Yeah, you simply just open up your ear canal and shove the crystal in.
Okay. I shove it into my ear canal.
There's a squelch as it goes into the cooling fluid. And you get the distinct impression of your time clock, your internal time clock updating. You get this lurching sensation as you realize that you've been in hibernation for an extended period of time. And you get the impression that it was way longer than it should have been. Also, your most recent memory, as well as the spells that you had studied, flood into your mind. And that was, I'm waiting for the team to get back with the fuel cells. They're overdue. We're going to run out of supplies. So we'll just go into hibernation just in case.
Oh.
And you also get the impression that this crystal is poked. That's all it's got.
You said there was only one?
2 crystals.
Okay, so I hand the other one to Rot, and I say, here, use this.
Meow. Rort, you pass out for a minute. You wake up on the ground, reinitiating. And you recognize all of your functions and your skills have re-established themselves. Whatever spells you have popped back into your memory, and you get an overwhelming sense of divine connection, which was, you couldn't believe that you couldn't feel it 5 minutes ago. And you feel much more spiritually integrated. You also realize that your divine connection is tenuous and rocky, like you've been away for quite some time, so it's a little bit dusty. And you get the impression that you've been asleep for about 500 years.
There has been many things that have changed. The ship requires repair. Where are we? I remember the fuel cells being necessary. Is it at this point, do we see Duncan coming down or anything like that?
At this point, the other whichever characters you feel appropriate would be coming down to investigate. Will be coming down to investigate. Essentially, you guys take over the narrative from now on.
I need to make sure the ship is uncompromised. Our gravity is off center.
30
I thought
degrees.
they stepped out as I was turning around to go down there.
Mm-hmm. Intruder.
As I hear someone beginning to move down the steps, I'm going to cast Mage Armor on myself and begin casting another spell.
Do we have all our equipment on us as well, or
You do.
Rort's going to draw his sword?
Shh.
I'll step around a corner and make myself visible.
Hold. Who goes there?
From the perspective of the Warforged, another Warforged is not automatically a threat.
We don't recognize
I do
him,
not
though.
recognize you.
No.
You're not of the crew.
And, like, I know Rot looks different than me, but Duncan also looks pretty different from me as well, doesn't he? But Duncan also looks different from Rot.
Yep.
And different from the rest of the crew's Warforged.
Yep. You are clearly all similar life forms from different planes of existence.
I see you're awake.
Yes.
just
Greetings. I'm with Duncan
sees the-
with the Barkrack Stratton. You may have heard of me.
He sees the body, he hears the voice, his mind is blown.
With the bar.
This Warforged has an abundance of personality programming that is beyond you.
This one is unique. Greetings. My name is M4-RC, and he holds out his hand to shake. But my friends just call me Mark.
Just gonna shake his hand.
It is the weakest handshake you have ever had.
Little bit of crumple.
By the way, my strength isn't supposed to be 11, it's supposed to be 6.
Oh, okay. So you're like a scout model, just like yeah.
With a bark.
Or are you just frail?
Sorry, what was that?
Are you scout model, like smaller, or just frail and ancient?
I am just frail and you see, like, there are no like bolts in my arms. It's metallic, but it's covering something that looks like just a regular humanoid.
Yeah, there's something definitely off about this Warforged.
I'm suspicious of your structural integrity, friend.
So was I.
Give me an Arcana check, Duncan.
$17.
He's part organic. And I'm not talking wood. He's been enhanced with protein-based organics.
I'm curious as to the ethics of that, but noted.
The ethics of what?
Oh, nothing. And he just turns to the other Warforged.
Be
Hello.
right back.
Witherbark, did we receive our required power cells?
That you have.
There is something malformed about this ship. I do not remember our center of gravity being so lopsided.
I just read your intelligence score.
That's why he doesn't understand.
Right. Huh? It's not that bad. It's pretty
Duncan suddenly feels like an idiot for having to be told that he's on a ship.
What
Yes,
is-
well, it's quite grounded and smashed.
Grounded and smashed. That's unacceptable. Whereabouts are we grounded?
One Yggdrasil.
A Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil.
Can I get
You must
a...
be great at parties.
Can I
am
get an
unaware of
intelligence?
this location.
Can I get an intelligence check from you, please, Rort?
It's a 15, but it becomes a 14.
Okay, that's sufficient to your memory, faulty as it is, lets you know that you were traveling in the phlogiston and were attacked and had to flee into the nearest available transitive plane. You were not prepared to immediately enter into Yggdrasil's gravity well, particularly because your power cells had been absolutely devastated by whatever attacked you. So your last memories were...
Okay,
Right.
falling. Okay.
Yeah.
I must inspect the ship immediately.
Very well. There are more beings outside. Try not to destroy them, please.
Beings. They are safe. They won't in any way impede our ship.
Apologies.
I don't believe
I
they
shut
do
down
that.
for a moment.
Mark, you've been walking around the cabin kind of lopsidedly, whereas Rort, it seems absolutely rock steady, like you've just adjusted your internal dynamo to the 30% lean and you're just walking around as per normal. Mark, you have been appearing to stumble from console to console, going like whoops, tick, 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 whoop, tick, tick, tick. But you're actually...
Clumsy.
No, you're not at all. What you're actually doing is using your Arcana to activate all the ship's sensors, power up systems, do diagnostics and all this sort of stuff, just surreptitiously while these two are talking, assessing them doing it, smart enough to realize that you need to conceal the fact that you are an absolute expert in the operation of this ship. You are its pilot.
I'd like to roll perception.
Sure.
15.
Do you want a deception check from me?
If you choose to be deceptive, yeah.
A 15.
So equals beats, I believe.
I believe he beats me.
Yep. So he can see what you're doing. Tick, 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 tick. Particularly because diodes do, valves do start to go.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing, by the way. And then I just turn back.
I trip over myself a little bit and I say, what did you, no, of course not. Nothing strange going on.
Continue powering up the ship.
But it is just a ship. One to sail the seas. How did we end up in a tree?
Your hand is hovered over the inertial stabilizer.
I assume he would have heard me talking about other life forms just outside.
I did hear that.
Can you refresh your camera, Bryce?
I'm eating.
Take me to these other life forms that you speak of.
Steak.
Very well. Clomp, clomp, clomp.
Fuck, am I gonna have to have a conversation with myself?
Possibly, yeah.
Duncan, this is taking way too long. We've got to get back to the city. We've got to find a way back to
really begin
Sigil.
heading out.
So the Warforged can hear of these organics wheezing out their lung air through their vibrating diaphragms.
So much emotion. You must be quite the party.
You could say that.
And these are your friends, you said?
You could say that.
So he goes up to Alia and he holds out his hand again and he says, "Greetings. My name is M4-RC, but my friends just call me Mar."
You do look a lot.
And
like
he does the same to.
Yeah, it's exactly the same each time.
Alia very carefully takes his hand and shakes it.
Ah, that was warmer than I was expecting.
Yes. Duncan, these are your... You know these people? And then Rort says, we have just resurfaced with our memories after being in latent sleep.
We have known of the one known as Duncan for only 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
Oh, you haven't read any of my books?
Duncan,
I recognize that I recognize that he's like kind of sad about it, and so I go, "Yes, of course I've read your books, Duncan."
Mark, just quietly, you realise that the Genasi that you're looking at could be used as a fuel source.
You there,
Me?
Genasi?
Yes?
How do you feel about interstellar travel?
What is an interstellar? No, we're trying to get to a city.
You could join us on the ship, and we could
Right.
take you to the city.
It's true, you are short on crew.
I don't know. I'm gonna look at the goat and say,
Goat's not on board.
Goat's not on board?
No.
Oh, okay. Why?
Igor looks up and says, "I think you should go with them. You're gonna do a lot less harm in the city than you would on that ship."
Who said that, sorry?
Igor.
Oh. Is he on the ship or is he still with Turbon?
He's still with Turbon.
Oh, Turbon's refusing to go up on there. It's like, no.
I do hope this vessel is fire retardant.
Duncan is
Because
this normal?
our sorcerer is fire retarded.
The ship definitely is not fire retardant. It's mostly made of wood. mostly.
Duncan, is this some kind of like cart, but for like flying? Like a magic carpet, maybe?
Like a super duper magic carpet.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Well, it's not doing... It looks like it's damaged. Looks like it's lost its enchantment. And Rort says, everything can be fixed. All things can be mended.
Mark just...
In fact, I think you hold a
He's
key
just staring
to
at the fire ganassi.
re-enchanting it.
It's like got a tape measure out, measuring the flame here.
Yeah.
You are quite the specimen. Have you ever considered augmentation?
No, I don't know much about augurations, abjurations, those sort of things. Goes over my head.
So, he's about to say something, but then he's just like, no, never mind. It's not worth it.
Ooh, his new character has tact. I like it. Okay, so Mark, all you need to do is activate one button from the room you had just left down below, and that will activate the initial stabilization of the ship and right it from the 30-degree angle it is to just sitting on its keel.
Right.
Oh, yes,
I go in and I
There's
start
a
messing with it.
pile of stuff at the bow of the ship that you might want to look at. Because it will...
Do I know what he's talking about?
You have no idea.
I go up and look.
There is a pile of precious metals and gemstones in a circle of chalk that appears to be arcane, a ritual circle of containment, or possibly an activation barrier that, when breached, will activate something. And you see that there's a sword in the middle of it that looks suspiciously magical. Shouldn't be sitting up like that in so shallow a pile of gems and gold, unless it's shoved into the floor timber.
You there, sword. I know you can hear me.
I don't know if it can hear you, but I know it has awareness.
If you can hear me, look at him, then look at...
The sword does nothing.
Rort is busy with the Sphinx skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
This petrified calcium is not part of our ship's function.
That's right. The skeleton has an amulet and a braziers.
Well, he's going to start disassembling. He's going to start compartmentalizing the skeleton into fibulas, rib cages, skulls, vertebrae. He's making like special
orderly piles.
Orderly piles. That's his.
Ribs arranged by size.
Yes.
Oh, this one's damaged.
Do I remember what our mission was?
I'd like to make an Arcana roll for the treasure pile.
Sure.
11.
What is the nature of your inquiry?
Is it a containment circle?
Yeah. It looks like a glyph of warding, sort of similar to a glyph of warding.
And it's containing something truly horrible.
Yeah. Your best guess, Arcana-wise, would be that sword can fly. It's not your sword, and it doesn't appear to be their sword.
This sword
Is an awesome
could
sword.
be problematic.
Yeah, it's a misogynist.
Even worse. I thought
Welcome to the pot.
You see that on the hilt of the sword, it appears to have its name in Elven. It's Gillette.
We've got to find Teller. Oh no, wait, the pin is mightier than the sword. Never mind.
All right. So you assemble the skeleton into its piles. You've got the amulet and the 2 braziers. The braziers go
Do I recognize the
resize themselves to
the Sphinx?
Warforged. Sorry, what?
Do I recognize the Sphinx?
No.
I guess I wear the braces just to see if they were original. I'm thinking that they're part of the original ship somehow. Like, I'm trying to think, is this part of the crew or must be like something important? Putting them on.
So I'm gonna take the next
Clack, clack.
11 minutes. I'm gonna take the next 11 minutes to cast Identify on that sword.
Okay.
So I sit down with a pearl in hand, and I just start staring at this thing, and I'm just like, "What are you? What are you? What are you?"
What are you? 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 What are you?
How do you? How do you? How do you?
Luke. One moment, please. Accessing DM's resources.
I start cleaning around where the skeleton was.
You need to be able to touch the item throughout the casting of the spell, so you need to break the circle, go in and touch the sword. Yeah. Bastard, eh?
I'd rather not.
It's like all the usefulness of that spell just evaporated. What you
Instead
could
of
do,
doing that,
let's go.
you
I
could
just
actually identify the circle.
I'll do.
So,
Will this let me know like what kind of thing it's trying to keep out or keep in?
so you learn what spells are affecting any item that you touch when you cast Identify, which would, for the components of a ritual, it would identify the spell that the ritual
Right.
is. This is imprisonment. It's a lot more complicated than it first appears.
My character Mark would know what imprisonment is, right?
It's a very powerful spell.
Right, but he would know what it is.
Yeah. Do you want me to read out what the spell does?
No, I've pulled it up. I wasn't gonna read it until you told me whether or not he would know what it is.
Okay.
I want to go down and check out the items that were on that skeleton.
Okay. So Rort is currently trying on the braziers. He has them on. The amulet is in his hand. Or its hand. Their hand. I'm not sure what gender.
I see you found some trinkets.
These were part of a deceased creature made of calcium.
I go downstairs.
Might I examine them?
Certainly. And he removes the braces and the amulet and gives it to the other Warforged.
Sure.
So I get down there and I explain to them, we need to discuss what to do about this sword. There are very powerful magics keeping it imprisoned up there. And I do not know why. Which makes me angry.
Does this sword impede the function of our ship?
I would rather not pilot the ship while it is on.
I'll roll a 1 on Arcana. So.
this spell that has been cast upon it is the most powerful magic I have ever seen. And I have seen some powerful magic.
Oh,
So, Bryce, there's something I should point out because your character knows everything about the spell imprisonment because of the identify spell. There's something you need to know about imprisonment in specific regards to the sword itself. The sword is not the object of imprisonment. The gem that is in the sword has got an entity imprisoned in it. Shrunk down to like 1 inch size and put inside a gem, which has been set inside a sword, which is inside a warded area.
Alia's unsure about all of this, but she's like, shouldn't this be flying by now? Is there something that like we can do to make it go fast, go up, go down? You know, is there a magic word? Underlay. Capiche. Hey presto.
just
Vamos.
staring at Alia.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Then I
Igor's
just turn
getting a
around to
little
Mark.
impatient.
Do you know what this amulet and these braces do? They might be related to this.
You're asking Alien?
I will begin casting Identify.
Okay.
Alia's bored of these robots that are taking too long to do everything. She begins perusing the ship, trying to see if there's anything else glowing or moving or beeping that attracts her attention.
Everything is now glowing and looks activated. Nothing's beeping, as we've established. There are no beeps.
She goes back to that really nice chair she saw, and she sits in it.
Yep. All right. So you sit down in the chair, and
That's my chair.
You're casting Identify.
you get the impression that you're sitting on a magical item that you can attune with.
Oh, very nice. This chair is very comfortable.
Get up.
Didn't you go somewhere else, Rort? Sorry, Mark.
I'm down there with them. I'm casting Identify on the gauntlets. Or on
So
the,
you're casting
bracelet.
Identify, you're not following the Janazi.
Oh, she's in another room.
Oh, yeah, I would have sighed and been like, damn it all, and followed
The
Alliance.
Janazi must be accompanied at all times.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Janazi seems very interested in sitting down in the plush chair again. She's like, bored.
I observe her.
Right.
She sees if the chair can like swivel, and if it
can.
it can rise up and down.
It can recline.
Oh,
You can rock the lock and put your feet up.
she's enjoying she's like seeing
You can sit right back and really enjoy a genuine lazy helm.
yeah, she is articulating every single movement this chair can do.
Nice. So there's a bunch of buttons within easy reach of your fingers on the arm of the chair.
Accidentally presses a few of them.
Can I tell if she's attuning to the chair? Because if she is,
Yeah, she is.
I'm going to prevent that
How?
violently if need be.
Duncan, this
Get
chair
up.
is amazing. It's super fun.
So the ship goes and rights itself as the inertial dampener is activated.
I stop.
I grab her.
And I just go in there, and I'm like, "Who touched my chair?"
Are you interrupting the attunement ritual?
Yes.
I absolutely am.
Okay. Cross that off the spell list. Okay, you go
It's
in
a ritual, so it doesn't
yeah.
cost spell list.
I know.
Or spell.
Cross off the
10 minutes that I
the
was.
incense stick. I don't know. The wax seal and the incense stick. Okay, the ceremonial wafer, the eyelash. So you go in and basically you've got two burly warforged who are saying, "Get out of the seat," and you've just made the entire ship move.
Why? Why should I get out of this? It's just a chair.
Are you really that dense that you can't tell that the ship just moved?
Did it? Was it this button
I
here?
ready
And I pushed it
my
again.
spear to
Was
crack
it?
her fucking skull.
The ship lurches 20 degrees to the other side now, and there's a crunching sound.
All
on the
right,
side
I'm
of the
gonna
ship.
hit her in the head.
One of the control vanes cracks on the side of the ship.
Please stop.
You have to pull her off the chair or something. I don't know. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Please make an attack roll to smack the Ifrit on the side of the head.
23.
Oh,
It's definitely going to hit.
yep. So I do believe this is the first time that any of your teammates have actually physically struck you, Alia.
Yes, she'd be highly offended.
Yeah.
So,
Mark is highly offended that you're sitting in his seat, but he's just too nice to start saying something.
Whereabouts is Igor when this happens?
Getting ready to tell the to tell Turban that he's getting tired and wants to settle down for a rest.
Turbon has clambered up the side of the ship, and once it starts to like move around, he's like, "I told you it was a bad idea." And then he he hears the sound of a warforged smacking a woman in the side of the head. Turns to Igor and says, "They're turning violent. I told you.
Then we should go in there and help them.
We need to leave." He takes out the acorn.
We should. I mean, Alia is still. I mean, yes, she left you for dead, and yes, she would probably leave me for dead.
If she's that
Screw
important to
it.
you,
Let's go.
is she that important to you?
No, I said screw it. Let's go. As soon as he said it out loud, he was like, "Wait, yeah, no, fuck her."
So as we cut to another scene, a windswept plain with jagged rocks. With there's a sword embedded halfway in one. There's a broken shield on the ground, and these two furry individuals appear out of nowhere, breathe in the heady air of Asgard, and look down upon a plain of heroes engaged in brutal warfare with each other. There's a dragon breathing fire on one of them. Yeah, nice. Somebody's riding a purple worm. It looks heroic.
Oh God!
Looks heroic as fuck. And
What the?
the barrier says,
What?
"Welcome to Asgard." My place is just down the road.
Yes, not here in battle.
No.
Okay,
Must be
Okay, good.
Tuesday.
actually, it's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
That was the worst pun I've ever heard.
Actually, it's not a pun. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. Right. What? Wednesday. Wednesday? Friday. Friday. Okay, so cross off Igor. He and
Dead.
he's gone. He's gone to another plane of existence. He's passed on from this world.
I really, really enjoyed playing him,
Yeah.
but I definitely feel like there were some irreconcilable differences.
Perhaps you'll meet again in another dimension.
Was
Okay.
that your? Was that our vampire barman?
No, actually, that was from the last Starfighter. But anyway.
I've already rented out your room.
Yeah. My wife wants to redecorate. She's spraying blood across the floor. Okay. I don't trust the ground that doesn't move. It needs more maggots. Okay, so there's a whoomph of teleportation on the deck of the ship. And a little alarm goes. Bidip, 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 bidip. It's quite noticeable since the ship doesn't go big.
I checked the alarms. And
Looks like somebody
something like
looks like somebody just let off a portal grenade on the ship, which is definitely not an ammunition that you carry, but you've come across before, which is so dangerous that you've set up an alarm system on board the ship. Not as bad as a temporal grenade. Those are even worse.
I go up top.
So it teleports you 6 feet. Oh, that's not so bad. Yeah, also 6 days ago. You go up top, and there's nothing there.
Well, that was strange, but I guess I have had worse. I go back down and begin identifying the bracers again.
Your ship just got damaged, even more damaged, quite seriously.
Rourt's freaking out. Something is not right. This ship should not be moving in this general direction. It's being damaged. You can probably see, like...
If you see
then
the ship...
do your job and repair it.
So the ship down on the image down below, it's got those sort of side fins. All of the side fins are now damaged. two of them are removed on the left-hand side. Sorry, the port side.
I'm gonna go back out and I'm just gonna start casting mending and slowly fix it.
See,
you need to go and retrieve the veins from like a couple hundred meters back that way.
Well, you may not have done that depending on what Alia is about to do.
Alia's,
Oh, yeah.
So you've hit Alia. She'd be so angry. She'd be like, Duncan, how dare you hit me?
You're right.
Stop
He's not gonna go
touching
outside.
things.
He's just gonna sit in the middle and say, "Oh, friends should not fight. Please, do not fight, especially while on the ship. We are already in a bad."
Gonna stand up indignantly from the chair, and she's going to burning hands Duncan.
As soon as I see fire, I'm casting sleep at 3rd level.
I rolled a 9 on damage, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. 9 subdual.
Yes.
Okay. Please note that down, Alia.
I'm also doing burning hand subdual. Oh, that's 16 damage.
Okay. The good thing about this room with the helm in it is that the controls are all on the seat. So you're not actually It's like one of all the rooms to do burning hands in, probably the hold, and this room is one of the best ones to do it because you're not actually hitting any components. However, there is a fire retardant system in the ship itself.
Okay.
It does require being activated though.
If I stand up from the chair, does it make the ship stop, or does it? What does it do? If I get off the...
The ship is currently back. It's back rolled back over
okay.
on the side. It's deactivated again.
Alia, do you have more than 48 hit points?
No, not with Duncan hitting me.
You're asleep.
Yeah.
See.
So you
Okay,
fall
so
back onto the chair, which then reclines.
yeah. Fall back onto the chair and I recline.
I take the body and I give it to Rob.
I will restrain her
What is the point of
with
this?
prejudice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, are all of your friends so inconsiderate?
Friend? You mean fuel source? Just truss her up to it.
Oh, you've got somewhere you can put somebody securely.
Take her to
The
the
mast
brig.
in the middle. Hands behind her back, mouth stuffed,
Okay. Yeah. All right. You
whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Oh God.
So sometime later, Alia will awaken with a real bad case of cottonmouth.
Yeah. I think she can't cast any of her spells. They all have verbal and somatic components.
Mm-hmm.
What a shame. I would ask that you do not cast fire spells on the wooden ship. Please. Thank you.
She doesn't
I
have
agree.
a choice anymore. Let's.
Okay. So skipping slightly ahead in the narrative, unless Alia is attempting to escape somehow.
No, she doesn't really have any. She's just scowling, looking daggers, especially at Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I feel comfortable leaving her like this. Yes, she almost destroyed my ship, but it is no way to treat another sentient.
Now, it says here on your character sheet that you are of alignment lawful good. The lawful component of that would tell me that you're definitely okay with there being consequences for actions, such as destruction of other people's property.
Yeah, but I also recognize that this is an extremely weird situation for everybody.
She's not been harmed. The imprisonment stops further harm to her and you and your ship.
But the imprisonment also sets off triggers for him for reasons that you should remember from what I told you earlier.
Oh. Okay, so you're having a moral conundrum.
A little bit.
Welcome to Japanese anime.
Rort is trying to repair all the damage that happened to the side wings. Like collecting all broken pieces.
Mark, were you carrying on with your ritual to identify the amulets and the brooches?
Now that I know nothing's going to get burned.
Okay. So it's an amulet of spell storing, capable of storing some 5th level spells.
I want that.
Don't you just?
I'm taking it. It is nothing except for a spell storing amulet.
It is currently storing the spell Hold Monster.
It is also currently holding the spell Hold Monster. Oh! And the...
Looks at the amulet, looks towards the bow, back to the amulet.
Okay. Oh, shit. Sorry. Dash everything on my screen.
Break everything.
Yeah. One moment, please. I'm just getting to the braziers.
Braces of archery. It would fucking be that, wouldn't it? Because of all the arrows.
Right. Rort begins his casting of mending, which is his welding fingers that come out and stuff.
Yeah. Awesome.
Do they even have braziers? Was that too complicated a word for 5th edition? Oh, here we go.
I don't know. Try Googling it. Brazzer.
I get it.
For those at home, don't Google it.
So these are braziers of defense, which provide a +2 bonus to armor class if you're wearing no armor and using no shield, which makes sense. You're a Sphinx.
That would be good for me as well.
Yep. And they magically resize to anybody who wears them.
That would be really good
I should mention that the amulet will store any spell up to level 5. Just one at a time. So you need to expend a spell slot, cast it into the amulet, and you can release it later on as a bonus action.
So I bring both of those to everybody, and I let them know what.
Okay.
Lucky
The repair of the ship will take about 2 hours or so, and multiple castings of the mending spell. You'll need to cast mending to repair the damaged veins, and then to reaffix the veins to the ship itself.
Yeah, Rort has Tinkerer's tools and the mending cantrip always prepared.
Okay.
So he's
yeah.
Duncan is going to assist, and even if he's not useful, at least learn and observe.
It is useful because you get to hold the vein steady.
He also has proficiency in Tinker's tools.
I'm gonna
Nice.
give. How much of a bonus does does it get? The bracers? 2?
+2.
Alright, so I'm gonna unattune from the cloak, but I'm still gonna wear it. Because it's got my name on it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think those stack.
No, but it also requires attunement, and he is full up on attunement.
Is he?
The wand, the cloak, and
I didn't
the
realize.
amulet.
Okay.
So if anybody,
you are attuning to the amulet.
if anybody feels like they would get better use out of any of those items, please.
Can anybody else cast an arcane spell?
Yeah.
Duncan can.
So Duncan could use the amulet of spell storage.
Rort
Duncan,
is
do you want it?
That's really good for a warlock.
You can have it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Can you cast Hold Monster? Is that a spell that warlocks can cast?
No. But it's already stored.
All you got to do is let it go. Pew. Pew pew.
Right. Let us continue on. I almost did my Igor voice.
Okay, so the ship is fully repaired and flight worthy.
the ship
I
is
sit
back
back in
at
my seat.
full functionality.
Captain's log.
So it is a 38-ton ship that is designed to operate with 24 crew, but that's mainly to operate like navigation and weapon systems.
Yeah, we got 3, 4,
Yeah.
3 with one being tied to the deck.
Yep.
What would be the consequences of using the genasi as a fuel source?
Essentially, it would add a turbo boost to the engine when traveling in wild space.
She's the
Would
magical equivalent of
she-
nitrous oxide.
Yeah, she's a flamethrower.
Would she?
Would she live? Yeah. It's essentially the same as casting Burning Hands.
Oh, okay. So she'll get a good use. I
In
go
that
up to
case,
her.
I don't approve.
And I say to her, "How would you feel about casting Burning Hands?" And then whenever she starts muffling something out, I go, "Oh yes," and I rip the I rip out the thing we had gagging her.
I want to talk to Duncan.
That's
Yes.
interesting.
Duncan, how dare you hit me? Out of all the time we've been together, you've never hit me before.
Yes, well, You can only almost kill me so many times.
I want you to apologize.
I stick the gag back in her mouth.
And somewhere on another world, Igvor's hairs are standing on it.
Okay.
So what are we gonna do about this sword?
We could keep it there for the time being, and then take the ship to someone who might know better.
Rort, oblivious to the nature of the sword, says, "How about I just remove it from the ship?"
Good
No,
luck.
no.
I've seen Rot do this kind of stuff before, right? Where he's just like,
He's deactivated many traps
admittedly-
with his person.
Yeah. yeah.
How bad could a poison dart be?
Part of me wants to see him try.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say anything or do anything to stop.
Me neither. It's entirely up to you.
I see rocks perched precariously above my head.
You should cast Booming Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the ship is ready to be taken, so I will go down into my quarters and begin preparation.
What are you preparing with? What do you need?
I was actually just gonna start singing app.
Singing what?
Nothing. Dancing Queen.
Oh, God.
We need to come to a consensus about the sword.
I agree.
I'm gonna go investigate the sword.
Sure.
Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting.
I can cast Armor of Agathis on myself.
Jada,
Yep.
what do you remember about what has been said about the sword?
I remember that they were saying that it was under some sort of spell effect that was very high level. And that's pretty much it. There's some sort of magical thing going on here. I'm gonna investigate the sword. Do I know from looking at it that it's standing up by magical means as opposed to a physical means?
Give me a intelligence check for your character.
13.
Nice. You don't actually stand on the chalk of the ritual container, but you do step into the field. So you're very careful not to disturb it, but you do step closer to get a better look.
Is there like a pile? Is like gold on where it's the base is?
Mm-hmm.
I take my my long sword and I begin to brush this treasure away.
Sure. The sword is in fact embedded in the deck of the ship.
I take out my crowbar
Mm-hmm.
and rope and hammer, and I make a pulley over
He does this
something
kind
high.
of stuff all the time.
I'm going to ready the hex spell.
So you guys are like clustered around now watching him do his engineering thing.
I create a slip knot and I throw it over the hilt of the blade, and I tie it, and then I create a pulley, and
Yep.
and with one arm pull down the rope, and with the other arm I wedge the crowbar into the deck, and then
Sure. The sword goes.
I start clapping. And then I press to digitate, or minor illusion, 10 out of 10, above my head.
Like hold up a little 10.
And
So
then I-
the sword appears to be a scimitar, finely made, named Gillette, and it is on a stick. Oh, sorry, on a rope.
And then I check to make sure that the damage it left to the deck isn't beyond just a normal superficial damage.
Oh yeah, a little bit of putty and some scuff, it'll be fine. Bit of linseed oil.
And other than that, I can't see anything the sword's done to damage the ship here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I'm like thinking like there can't be anything that's interesting about this sword other than this. So I just grab the sword off the rope.
Okay. You currently have a sword.
Do you want me to take a look at that?
I check all the.
Jesus, the voice. Do you want me to take a look at that?
I check the chalk markings and I try to walk outside the chalk markings with the sword.
The sword goes.
I see.
Mm.
And I move back into the circle, and then
Yep.
and then I try to push it through the circle.
He does this kind of stuff also. He does this kind of stuff also all the time. It's gonna
Okay.
be hard getting used
Alright,
to the
I'm
voice.
gonna try and move the treasure out of the circle. Oh, just so it's like a snow globe in here.
I look at Duncan, look at the sword, look at Duncan, look at the sword. I'm gonna touch the sword and cast Identify.
So you're stepping inside the circle.
Yeah.
Okay. You cast Identify on the sword. The sword appears to be a +1 scimitar. And it has a gem in it, which is not natural. It is an imprisonment gem.
So it's an imprisonment inside of an imprisonment spell.
The
Alright.
gem is the imprisonment spell.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's what's keeping it inside of this. Sure.
So I put my backpack on my spear and triangulate backwards and drop it over the globe that is enrapturing it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I did. And, in Barlborough. And now I have friends stuck in an imprisonment spell.
So any object that is of your ownership or as part of the ship, you can move in and out of that circle. Okay. Mark, you will quickly discover that if you're wearing the braces, they won't come out of the circle now. If the amulet goes inside that circle, it will be stuck inside that circle too.
I leave the circle and I take my crowbar and rope that comes with me.
Mm-hmm. You feel a slight bit of resistance in your thigh and look down to realize that there's a gem that you threw up when you were doing the snowblow trick, which is stuck in your thigh panel. It's like,
I flick it out, and then I consider, like, I know that the chalk is literally the circle, right?
Mhm.
So I tell them like, we could demanufacture this circle to remove the repelling effect we seem to be experiencing. However, I do not believe this would be repairable should we need it again.
Who's got the highest wisdom score out of you guys? Rort, you're pretty high. You've got a +2. Duncan, what's your bonus?
0.
0. Okay. Rort, from a practical point of view, being someone who is used to dealing with the inertial control system of a ship, because you've established yourself as the engineer. there's a certain practical application of having something like this on board a ship, which you're not smart enough to think exactly what the situation would be, but like if you're getting thrown violently around or something and you held onto one of these gems or something, it would prevent you from exiting.
How big is this circle?
It's only about 5 foot square.
Oh, so it's pretty small.
So about a Rubik's Cube the size of a person, sort of size.
I test the dimension. I walk back in and I test the dimensions of the height.
Yeah, you roll a coin. Like it's a glass.
And there's a ceiling here, right? In this chamber. Okay. And it goes all the way up to the ceiling.
It actually goes slightly beyond the ceiling.
Okay. Right. Well, we can leave it here, idle, or we could destroy it, but we would be unable to repair it, at least with our current resources.
I don't see it harming anything, so I suppose we leave it for now.
That seems perfectly reasonable.
Okay. So we're coming up on a couple of hours in. We're going to end the session very soon, but as is our way on this game, we need to have a slight cliffhanger. At the same time, whilst you guys are pondering this magical circle, the memory crystals inside your ear, did you take those out or did you leave them in?
Left it in.
They go whoop whoop, and they send a signal to the ship to activate the autopilot. It then, as soon as it detects that it's got full control veins, and there's some sort of a voice that you hear communing with you telepathically. It says, "Resuming course, sir."
Oh yeah.
The flight helm reclines. It goes as a minor image illusion pops into existence of a very slick looking warforged in a suit, and the ship lurches into the sky.
I will sprint forth to the captain's chair.
Captain, the autopilot looks over and says, "Hello! I don't believe you are identified or have access to this ship." And you are repelled with a field of force.
I must commandeer this vessel.
And that's game. To be continued next week.